that, even though there's some interesting aspects. I mentioned our skin. As far as I know, our skin is considered one organ that's not only on our outside but on our inside. Is that right? Is that how they treat it today? I don't know. However, but the space cone in this metaphor, or looking at it this way, is primarily to point out that what can possibly influence you based on Einstein's theory is only within the speed of light, because nothing can be faster than the speed of light, apparently. Although we can certainly get into some interesting aspects associated with entanglement. You've heard of entanglement? Entanglement is? Yes? Couple? Well, the idea is that particles can literally be entangled with one another at the quantum level. And by being entangled, even if they're separated quite a distance apart, whatever happens to the entangled particle actually influences instantaneously the other particle. So if you sent particles that were entangled to particles that are here on Earth to Mars, theoretically, we can say, beam me up, Scotty, and you arrive on Mars. Theoretical. Of course, that's the insight that led to the idea of transport, beam, etc. My favorite line there, though, was Bones saying, "I don't want my atoms splattered all over the universe," etc. Which actually wouldn't happen if you use the theory right. You would be evaporated in this spot, completely gone, and a complete copy of you arrive at the other place. So a neat question, to ask people is, if that's the way that theory worked, so that it's not really you that arrives at the other place, but a perfect copy, would you want to be transported with a device like that? Any of you would volunteer to get in? Nick would. Would you rather see a fish go first, a tomato, a monkey, your boss, whoever you want to get rid of, you go first, and see if they. But the thing is, even if they arrive at the other place and somehow can communicate back and say, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm just the same as I was," you still have the weirdest, feeling like, well, but it's not really you. It's a copy of you that arrived there.
But your cells are dying and rebuilding constantly, so that could really be.
What about your soul, though? And there's that feeling that we have something apart from the physical that is part of us here. And if you're sending your body, a perfect copy of your body, to the other place, but we don't know if that's also including the soul. So you might actually kill yourself here. And someone who looks remarkably like you and has memories and everything arrives at the other place, not realizing that they don't have a soul, maybe. We don't. I mean, that's bothers people. I think it'd be fine to send oranges and fruit and plants and things. The hardest part, of course, would be actually shipping the entangled particles there, because you would need new ones constantly. How are you going to ship them? Plus, if the entanglement connection is broken at any point, it's not going to work. So, actually is only possible in a theoretical sense. In the lab, they can send information. They have sent information. I don't know if it's gotten improved over that, but like the first one I ever heard was they sent Mozart's 44th Symphony or something across a barrier. But the issue with this is that it seems to arrive 7 times faster than the speed of light. And the question is, how does that happen? Is that breaking Einstein's theory? And the answer is no. What they do is they say that what happens is if you imagine space is folded, so that you're not actually going the whole, 7 miles, but that 7-mile point is actually curved so that it actually touches our physical space here, and you're going through a wormhole so that you're actually not going that far. It's just right here. So 7 times closer, theoretically. But that's entanglement and all. There's all kinds of stuff there that's also important when we're talking about quantum computing. Why quantum computing can do the kinds of things it does is because you can actually make use of characteristics of quarks and subatomic particles that, in a sense, can be in multiple places at once. So in a sense, instead of following a linear Turing type computation, the way all our current laptops and things are doing, and some people think our brains are doing, the quantum computer actually can check multiple, perhaps even an infinite number of possible lines of thinking at the same moment, as opposed to just following one particular physical on, off, kind of Turing type selection. Of course, the neat thing for me is that if we are quantum computers instead of Turing type machines, then that would explain that not only do we have the capability of all of our neural connections, but we also have the capability of all of our quantum connections, which is like way, way, way more. It's like a Googleplex as opposed to a quantifiable number. And so in a sense, that might explain our abilities to do all kinds of things, especially if you're a woman who can think so much quicker. I almost always ask when somebody says, "Do you have any questions?" I'll say, "Is anything faster than the speed of light?" Which usually isn't the kind of question they mean, but it's funny. And the one time I asked a young lady who was sitting at the information booth in the Diamond Mall, I don't know if they still have it or not, but I asked her, and immediately she said, "My mother's tongue." So that was fun. Okay.
So a quantum computer is a computer that is beyond binary, it would be whatever from binary?
It can make use of all the binary results you might get, but it actually can simultaneously check lots of those all at once.
So it would be like there's infinite numbers between 1 and 0.
One type of infinite, yes. So did I break my machine? No, here it goes. So I think it's because it should be capital T, but so superposition means you can have more than one possibility. So is the cat alive or dead? Which is actually stupid, by the way, because cats are macro large creatures. So the kind of quantum superposition that we're talking about are quantum particles, not cats. So it's not like the cat is either alive or dead and you don't know unless you open the box. That's just, I can't think of his name. Shoot. his joke, though. He wrote a book on that. Whose cat? Whose cat is that? Schrodinger. Thank you. Phew. I am getting older. Gosh. So, superposition. Qubits can exist in a superposition where they simultaneously represent both 0 and 1 sphere. So it's like they can hold contradictory ideas at the same time. Quantum entanglement. Qubits can become entangled, meaning the state of one qubit is directly related to the state of another, even if they are physically separated. This is what Einstein referred to as spooky action at a distance. He didn't like it. He didn't like the idea that his theory implied that that would be possible. Entanglement enables quantum computers to perform complex operations that involve multiple qubits in ways that classical computers cannot easily replicate. I don't know if this is associated with it, but the argument, though, that our minds cannot be quantum computers is because our environment is too warm. The quantum computers that they're using right now at Berkeley labs are under deep freeze, because otherwise the superposition won't maintain itself. And so how can you do that? How could you have our brains being quantum computers when they're so warm? So that's still an issue. This is an important one. It's not a non-deterministic computing model. In other words, you can have free choice. If our brains are quantum computers, theoretically, even in kind of a materialist sense, we end up with free choice. You go this way or this way. What makes you choose one or the other? So that's fun. So, yeah, quantum computing, very interesting. There are models that are already working and getting results, although they're really expensive, hard to maintain, etc. I don't know that there's more than the one computer in Berkeley that's working that way. I don't know. Anybody here? Anything else? There's got to be other. I bet Beijing has something. Okay, but let me get back to Kant, because there's a couple of things that I haven't mentioned associated with Kant that are important. So the phenomena is clearly phenomenal issue here. One of my erasers is one away. Remember, you always and erase this. Oh, it's a messy one. Okay. So, phenomena, as far as Kant is concerned, can only experience the outside world because there has to be a thing in itself. By the way, if you're at a cocktail party and this topic comes up, the German expression for a thing in itself is das Ding an sich. Get the sich, do that kind of fricative there to sound not like a California girl, but a German, right? A California girl is the, whatever. Practice that so I can get pretty close. But so the thing in itself, das Ding an sich. So that's a good. Remember, we've got specifics, tabula rasa for Locke, nasty brutish in short for Hobbes, and so on. Okay, so we can't actually see the thing in itself. That actually comes from David Hume. Remember, we can actually see not even the primary qualities that John Locke argued we could know are there. every opportunity that Locke uses in order to demonstrate that we can know that there's actually a thing in itself out there depends on the secondary qualities, which can actually see that there's anything out there. So that becomes a contradiction in Locke, as pointed out by Berkeley and accepted by Hume, and accepted by us, essentially. We kind of agree. It seems like we can't see the way things are apart from the way human beings perceive things. On the other hand, there has to be an ego, or a self. Ego is just I in Latin. Is that right? Id is also I. So what's the difference between an ego and an id? Well, an id, if you're totally focused on the id, that makes you an id